Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Public Works Transportation Committee for December 12, 2023. Madam Clerk, roll call and posting the agenda.
Member Perello? Here. Member Valenzuela Zavala?
Present.
Chair Zaragoza?
Here.
We have a quorum. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on December 5th, 2023.
Thank you. And I'm sharing this committee today because our council member is not feeling well, just for information. Please help me in saluting our flag to the U.S. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You want to share in a moment of silence?
For all the people that are in hardships that we have no idea at all, wherever it is in the world, just give a moment of silence. And thank God for whatever you believe in, it's not you.
Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, any public comments not on the agenda?
Chair Zaragoza, there's no public speakers virtually or in person.
Thank you. Then we'll go item C. Item C is a consent. This is City Clerk Department's approval of the minutes. Recommendation that Public Works Transportation Committee approve the minutes for November 28, 2023 as a regular meeting as presented. Any concerns?
No concerns unless there's a change. I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
Second, okay. Moved by Councilman Perello and second by Valenzuela. Please vote. Oh, roll call, excuse me, best.
Member Perello?
Yes.
Member Valenzuela Zavala?
Aye.
Chair Zaragoza?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Our next item is D1, Public Works Department, the agreement 324-00249 with MRAP Manufacturing Company, LLC for the maintenance and inspection and repair of MRAP refuse collection vehicles. Recommendation, the Public Works Department Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with MRAP Manufacturing Company, LLC for 1-year term with the option to extend it for 4-year consecutive 1-year periods for a maximum contract term of 5 years with a total contract not to exceed the amount over the entire contract for $750,000 for the maintenance and inspection and repairs of the city's MRAP waste collection fleet and on the on-call basis. And of course, this is under Measure M. There was a pre-recorded item, and we do have Michael Wolf or a representative for any additional questions. Council members, any questions from you? Do you have any additional information other than, I know that MRAP has probably, I know we've discussed this in the past, that traditionally they have a warranty that we have to maintain with MRAP, and consequently, you know, they're on an on-call basis for a 1-year basis. Is that correct?
Yes. Good evening, committee members, chair, members of the public. Jose Arriola, Fleet Services Manager. That is correct. A lot of this has to do with some of the warranties that we have currently still with some of the units. Right now, we just recently sent one in for the floor replacement, and they're doing it under warranty, and we possibly have more. So having this contract helps a lot.
Jose, I think, does MRAP have a maintenance office or building or yard here in the city of Oxnard? Are they over?
Not here, no.
But we have to send them to LA?
Yes, they're, I believe, in the Riverside area.
They used to be in Monrovia, right?
Yeah, there's someone in that area. I'm not 100% sure where their actual address is, but they're in Ontario, sorry.
Ontario.
Ontario.
Okay, Council Member.
Just one question. If we do ship equipment, does it ship on truck or do we have it drive down if it's possible to drive it?
They drive them out there. We can get for hire, or we drive them out there ourselves.
do we have a plan where we look on the wear and tear of our equipment or versus the cost of a long-term arrangement for somebody to low bid the equipment down?
Well, these trucks, they're pretty tall already themselves, and putting them on a low bid might exceed the limit, and you have to get maybe oversized or something like that.
Okay,
Haven't looked into it, but, with the height that they are currently, they're pushing that limit.
okay. That answered my question, thank you.
And Jose, we get them on the freeway, what's the top speed for one of those MRAP trucks?
One of those trucks could be 55 miles an hour, according to the speed limit. That's where they fall into.
So the slow lane all the way to Ontario, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Because I know those guys are going at 70, 75 miles an hour, so.
Yeah, we're supposed to follow the rules. So.
Councilmember.
No questions. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
So, motion?
Chair Zaragoza?
Any speakers on this item?
No, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, with a motion by
Move to approve the recommended action.
I'll second that.
Councilman Estrella. Okay, roll call?
Member Perello?
Yes.
Member Valenzuela Zavala?
Aye.
Chair Zaragoza?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Our next item is D2, and this is Public Works again. And this is the selection of option 2 for the mandated California Air Pollution Board Advanced Clean Fleet Regulations. Recommendation that Public Works Department Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve option 2 and allow under the Advanced Clean Fleet AC regulations, which mandates local governments to undertake certain actions to implement zero emissions vehicles Z for the fleets beginning Jan 1, 2024. And of course, this was a pre-recorded item per Measure M, and we have Michael for any additional information. I'll ask a couple of questions here. My understanding that the selection option 2, Michael, is a mandated item as per our what I read right now, that we have to go with the zero emissions beginning Jan 1. And my understanding that there's going to be also some CARB exceptions on some of our vehicles. And of course, we're probably looking at option 2, and also that the option 2 is going to give us some choices and options, that we can take advantage of for that option. Can you share some more information on that? And I think it's a long, by the way, it's a long presentation. It's a lot here to cover, so.
Yeah, good evening, committee members. Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. So this is a CARB mandate. The default option, which is option 1, would start January 1st, 2024, so in a couple weeks. Not very well publicized, but there's an option 2 that Jose did some research on and found. And so that's the option that we're recommending. And so basically, the 2 options are based on our fleet sizes or our purchases, and we have to acquire certain types of vehicles, zero emission vehicles, within certain dates by certain percentages, all through the mandate from the CARB, the California Air Resources Board. Part of the issues that we have, as you can imagine, the target vehicles are very large vehicles. They're 8,500 pounds or more. Not a lot of companies and manufacturers making those right now. So the good news is that the state has some exemptions. If it's not readily available for purchase, then you can exempt that purchase going forward. And so the idea here is to try to give us as much time for the industry to catch up, because the industry is, in my opinion, is behind this regulation in terms of timeline. Also gives us an opportunity to evaluate other types of vehicles, not just electric, it could be hydrogen. It also gives us an opportunity to gain momentum on our infrastructure improvements that we will be needing, because this is not going to be CNG or diesel fueled vehicles. It's going to be
And we don't have the
Correct.
capability of doing that, right?
Right, so there's all kinds of requirements and regulations. Like I said, my opinion is that this regulation is well in advance of the actual industry. And that's the difficult part for us, is we're estimating, our best judgment is being used to make some of these decisions or recommendations. And so we are recommending option 2. We feel like that is allows us the most flexibility and provides us a longer lead-in time to purchase these vehicles that are going to be required.
Michael, I know the other council members have some questions, but if we go with option 2, we're looking at 2025 to 2042, is that correct? Did I read that right? That's a long, long time.
Correct. So the table that you're referring to is table 1, which is on page 53 of the agenda book.
Right.
Depending on which group we're talking about, so milestone groups 1,
okay.
milestone group 2, or milestone group 3, and those are dependent upon the size of vehicles. And we try to give some examples. So for example, group 1 is like box trucks and vans. Group two is the day cabs, the worker trucks, and then group 3s are the sleepover cabs. So you can imagine those different groups of vehicles, all over 8,500 pounds. Each one of those groups now has a specific timeline and percentage to hit between 2025 through 2042.
And also, my understanding too, that some of the exemptions are police vehicles and fire trucks and first-line trucks, that are used by the firefighters and also our police officers.
Correct. There's actually 2 types of exemptions that we're aware of right now. One is the overarching exemption, which is police and fire vehicles, and then there's the temporary exemption list. And that temporary list, or that list is temporary because there's not currently a manufacturer that makes that kind of equipment. That could change over time as manufacturers catch up to this requirement. And so there's 2 types of exemptions that are allowed.
And the hydrogen, I think also in your presentation, we might be working with Gold Coast Transit for the hydrogen. They're coming out with a new pipeline for that.
So the good news is that Gold Coast has made a decision and they're moving towards hydrogen fueled buses, and it's actually hydrogen fueled, but it's an electric bus that's fueled by a hydrogen process, right?
That's a distinction there.
Right. So they are in the process of transitioning from CNG to hydrogen in terms of their vehicles and their charging station. We have worked with them to set up some interim opportunities to use their CNG, and we're trying to find ways for us to potentially use their hydrogen in the future if we need to.
One of the last questions I'll ask, I know Perella has some questions. Also for the chargers, potentially we can also work with APCD, the Air Pollution Control District, which I think it might be an opportunity to save some money there too.
Correct. There's a couple opportunities for us to get grants and/or agreements. We provided, Jose did a nice job putting together information about Edison and their process. But like you said, Mr. Mayor, there are other opportunities for us to partner with agencies like that for potential grants.
As a member of APCD, now as a chair of APCD, and today was my last day, but have another term, but we can work with Ali over APCD and potentially get some help, for some chargers, which even for the smaller trucks and equipment too.
Right, so this is obviously geared towards our larger vehicles, 8,500 pounds or above, but as you mentioned, the industry for much smaller vehicles is out there, and it's much more readily available. In fact, if you did a cost comparison to some vehicles, the electric vehicle is actually cheaper than a gas engine vehicle when you look at sort of full cost. There's some that say it's a wash. Some people will say it's more, but I think if you include the cost of fuel and oils and maintenance, I think over the long run, some of the current electric vehicles are actually cheaper for long-term cost.
And I'm going to hand it over to Bert, but I understand there's also some very large fines if you don't comply.
So CARB, just like most state regulatory departments, does have the ability to fine us, whether that's per event, per day. Again, some of this information, they write this huge law, and then everybody has to break it down and actually analyze it. So Some of the information is still tentative in our minds until we get some actual rulings and verification from CARB. But yes, like most state agencies, they have the opportunity or the ability to fine us.
Councilman Valenzuela.
Bert can go first.
Bert?
Mr. Aurelio, thank you very much for the staff report, and Mr. Wolf for your explanation. In reading this and having sat up here for a period of time, it makes you wonder, the people that write these rules, do they ever go home and look in the mirror? I mean, are they gonna ever have to address these things, potentially take the money out of their own pocket? I mean, they have no problem putting specifics in the rules that the administrative penalties can be $25,000 per day and cumulative up to $300,000 per violation. That's pretty significant. But if there's no market and there's no, ability to go and buy all these vehicles, let alone the money to buy them, they put the agencies that have to comply at a very, very, not a good spot. There's other ways to say it, not a good spot. I appreciate this. It looks to me like taking this option is the best that we can do to protect the city in the long range, because things could change. All of a sudden, there could be a Aurelio Wolf company come out, they make trucks, they're cheaper, everything else, and we're not locked into option one, and we can change our mind, as a council can change our mind. So thank you very much for this. I support this. I appreciate the report. Again, it's another issue of unfunded mandates, and that's what I think is gonna, I'm of the political party that's mostly in control, and it's embarrassing to be in that group when things like this come down the road that are supposed to help you, but they may make you live longer, but you're gonna be broke in the process. So just my opinion. Thank you.
Councilman Valenzuela.
Yes, and also I apologize to my fellow councilmember Parla by calling him his first name on the dais. My question on option 2, where it says here's for the milestones group and compliance years, are those dictated by the state for the compliance years, or is it the numbers that we put forward or for a plan?
So those compliance percentages and dates or years are from the state.
Okay, thank you. And I guess the second question I have, because looking at this for our fleet and comparing it to our climate action and adaptation plan, and in it says our goal is we're mandated by the state to reduce our greenhouse gases by 40% by 2030. I'm seeing here, dropping our, for 2028 and 2031 and 2030, it's will these compliance years and percentages, will they help us get down to our 40% below our greenhouse gas emissions over time? Because I think I said in the climate action and adaptation plan was that it was 44% of our greenhouse gases comes from our vehicles. But I was curious if this will help, if we will be reaching that 40% reduction by 2030 with these compliance years. That was just, I haven't done all the math in my head, but I was just curious based off that has been done.
So the climate action plan is a goal for us to obtain, and what we're talking about tonight is only a subset of our vehicles. So not all of our vehicles, and I want to say we got close to 750 on-street vehicles, of which we're talking about tonight is 260 plus or minus. So we're not even talking about half of our vehicles. So yes, this will help us get in compliance, but this is not the only thing that we have to do to get in compliance with the cap.
And actually, no, it wouldn't be related to this item. Thank you.
Okay, Bert?
I'm guessing we're not really looking at this now, but a few years down the road, this is going to diminish the value of the rolling stock that we have when we go to turn it in or sell it. I know that heavy equipment serving another agency, they can't sell the Ventura Regional Sanitation, they can't sell the heavy equipment in state. They got to ship it out of state. Are we going to be in the same spot with this stuff?
That's a good question. I'm not sure we have a crystal ball to figure that out, but I know that currently right now, states that don't have the same regulations as us can take our current vehicles when we auction them off through the auction process. I would imagine that even electric vehicles have that opportunity. Now, I will say that does it diminish our returns? That's an unknown. I don't think I have the answer right now. Don't anybody really has the answer to that? the cost of those electric vehicles are significantly higher in the initial upfront. And so whether or not they retain their value is really the question, not necessarily whether or not we're going to have less dollars at the end of the day. Is that value percentage going to stay the same based on our current vehicles?
All right, thank you very much for taking a shot at it. I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any speakers on this item, man?
Chair Zaragoza, there's no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay.
I'll move the recommended action.
Moved by Perello.
Second.
Second by Valenzuela. Roll call.
Member Perello,
Yes.
Member Valenzuela Zavala,
Aye.
Chair Zaragoza.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Mr. City Manager, your light's blinking. You need your. Okay, good. Okay, our last item is Public Works again, the First Amendment to Trade Services Agreement A8263 with UniFirst Corporation for multi-divisional uniform rentals, purchase and laundry services. Recommendation to the City Council, approve and authorize the mayor to execute a First Amendment to an agreement with UniFirst Corporation for uniform rental, purchase, and laundry services for multi-divisions, extending the term for 9 months from Jan 31, 2024 to October 31, 2024, and increasing the contract total by $100,000 for a new contract not to exceed $770,000. Is that Michael or Jose or Eric? My understanding is that, Eric, this is a multi-division, this is a lot of divisions that use the service, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And also I didn't finish reading this item, but it says something about the contractor didn't agree or didn't do something. What was that? What happened?
The contractor did.
There was a discrepancy there, Michael, wasn't there? Or
So we have an existing contract that's set to expire for uniforms. This is the contractor that's providing that. In anticipation of that contract expiring, I think in end of January, early February of next year, we went out with a solicitation, but we didn't get any bids back. So what we had to do, because we didn't get any bids back and we still need this service, what we did is we used the purchasing process and we're allowed to negotiate directly with this current
to
contractor.
October, yeah.
Through October. So this is going to allow us opportunity to put back out another bid. So I think the part that you're reading or remembering, Mr. Mayor, is that in the staff report, we reached out to the bidders and asked them why they didn't bid.
Okay, that's the one, yeah.
And they basically said, oh, was a bad timing for us, staff turnover. But all the ones that we contacted had given us an indication that they would submit a bid if we rebid this. So I think that's what you're referring to.
Exactly right. I didn't quite finish reading that, but Eric might excuse me for that. But well, the contract's needed, because we need to provide those uniforms and clean them and launder them and so forth. Council members, any? Valenzuela?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm very grateful the city is doing this for our employees, for health and safety. As someone who's usually covered in grease, I really appreciate when the outerwear is dry cleaned. Thank you.
Okay, Bert? No? Matt, any speakers on this item?
Chair Zaragoza, there's no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Move the recommended action.
Moved by Valenzuela.
Second.
Second by Perello. Roll call?
Member Perello,
Yes.
Member Valenzuela Zavala,
Aye.
Chair Zaragoza.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Or item E, any items for future agendas, council members?
The only thing that I can think of, Mayor, is I know that Public Works is not responsible for this, but in the future, if there is some decision made to potentially remove brush from areas adjacent to residential neighborhoods because of fires and homeless encampments, in the future, find out if Public Works would be responsible for that, or we just go with a private contractor, which I hope we would, because I don't think we need to buy more equipment for this type of thing. My opinion, there are tremendous companies that are involved in this in Ventura County.
Yeah, and I understand more or less, I know it's not an agenda, but we have to work with the Coastal Commission on that too, right, Alex? Yeah.
But
Yeah, just for information.
and I'm sure everyone in the city of Oxnard understands, it's a perfect storm for a disaster. When the east wind is blowing,
That's right.
multiple years ago by the old Skyview Drive-In, there was a fire that almost took out an entire mobile home park.
That's right.
And then there was a fire in the Sea Bridge, adjacent to the Sea Bridge on the other side of the Edison Canal, that really got going. The county and the city put the fire out. And then recently, we've had multiple fires near the dunes and Oxnard Shores and Channel Islands Neighborhood Council.
Councilmember, I see the city
And,
attorney says it's not, that's item not in the agenda.
Yeah, and as often happens, nobody says anything, nobody does, it's mañana, 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 until it affects them, because there's been tremendous amount of outreach by the city of Oxnard for the residents to explain what's going on with homelessness, what we're trying to do. Nobody shows up for the meetings. And an event like this recently happens, and everybody and their brother wants it happening to take care of it like that, right now, yesterday. And they want, a bucket of blood too. So that's why I brought the issue up.
So we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.